businesses to register as VAT, meaning that all businesses will have now to be registered as VAT, and also, you know, just from 5 million to zero, from 0 to 5 million.
Yeah.
Then what does that mean practically to businesses, especially small SMEs, now that they form a larger part of the Kenyan economy? They contribute so immensely to the economy. What does that mean to them?
Before we even go to what it means to them, the first question we want to ask ourselves is whether KRA as an authority mandated by law to collect these taxes, does it even have the capacity to do all this? I hear they are using quite a number of, I can't remember how many billions that is proposed in the 2026 budget to upgrade their systems. But what we are asking ourselves, do they even have the capacity today to go to those SMEs, 80% of our economy? The policies are good, but the implementation is where there is a problem. In other jurisdictions, you start with the large taxpayers to ensure 100% compliance. You come to the middle taxpayers before you get to the SMEs. But this wholesale looking at things doesn't work. To answer your question, what it means to the local businessman, I'll still use an example of like a shop next door, where you go for your stuff every other day when you're not going to the supermarket. What this means is that, one, there's a lot of record keeping to be done. The regulations establish that we need to have e-teams. So we're asking even this local shopkeeper to have a system that captures data and sends it to KRA on real time in terms of sales. There's a lot of civic education that needs to be done to the business community to ensure they embrace. But when you come with this authority that we are doing this, it's dead on arrival, so to speak. But if they start from now from the large taxpayers, middle taxpayers coming down, then it could fetch some. What happens is that, and that's why I'm saying, in this country we have become so lazy. We are not. We talk of innovation, but we just want to do things that the lowest lying fruits, VAT for everybody. It's a law today, everybody has to pay VAT. So what is it that the business community, when they hear KRA, I have clients that when you speak to them and you tell them that you work with KRA, you are an agent of KRA or something, they start looking at you, they want to date with you at arm's length because they are looking at KRA as an enemy. So first, before we even implement these issues, let's start from a lot of civic education, knowing that it's everyone's of us duty to pay taxes. Otherwise, when we start bringing in blanket roles and blanket regulations, the more we are going to also employ people to follow up on defaulters and all this. And for us as accountants, we are saying it's a good thing. It's going to bring more work to us, but to the business community, are we prepared for this?
But what does this mean to the consumer, if at all it goes through? Does that mean that now products will now go higher, such that, you know, even as these business people will have now to comply and of course charge VAT on their products? Sisi kama consumers, how does it affect us?
And you need to realize that VAT is a consumption tax.
Yes.
It's actually for the end user. So if somebody was selling you something and VAT, he was not paying VAT and VAT is introduced, chances are he would add the prices.
So you and me are paying for that?
Would definitely pay. But what we also need to realize, we need to put this into context and look at something that has VAT and something that does not have VAT. Let's look at somebody who's selling like a small petrol station in a village whose turnover is below 5 million in a year. So he buys fuel, he pays VAT when buying the fuel. So he's already he already has what we call input VAT. When he's selling to you, he sells to you the same price you'll buy from Shell and others, okay? So it's not that he should not add a cent, okay? It's only now that what would say kwa mtaa pia yamefikiwa. What he's been doing is chances are he's been getting more profits. Because it's not that he's selling cheaper than somebody who's charging VAT. It's only that he's not been passing he's collecting money but not paying to the government. I'll use myself also as an example. I'm a consultant. Assuming hypothetically I don't charge you VAT, or I charge you VAT. If I buy a service, if I give you a service and charge you money, because I'm below the threshold, I will not give you I will not have VAT. But the moment I'm also asked to get into the VAT regime, whether I'm 0 or 10 million, I'll charge you whatever amount plus VAT. So it's a double-edged sword. There's some people who will charge you services, like I've given you an example of me as a consultant. Yeah. I charge my fees knowing that I don't have the VAT element. The moment I'm told that I should be paying VAT, it's definitely plus VAT. So you as a consumer of my services, they become expensive to you. But there are several others that already have VAT in them in terms of when they purchase and all that. I've just given you an example of that pump person who's not 5,000 and below, so he's not registered for VAT. But where he buys, he pays VAT. But
then that affects your business, because I'll run away and go to somebody who won't charge me VAT.
Apparently, he won't be there. The person not to charge you VAT will not be there. Remember, all of us
across the board
will be brought on board. And that's why I started asking by asking whether KRA has the manpower also to ensure 100% compliance. Because the moment you run away from me and you go to him because he's not charging you VAT, from there and then the compliance issues comes in, because I will not lose business.
Raphael, there was a time we used to attribute the high cost of living to inflation, and I'm wondering, is that still the case, or right now it's more of attributed to now higher taxation?
You see, in our country, one of the biggest problems we have today, and I feel it for the CS Treasury, is the kind of debt that we are paying.
Yes.
They are saying for every 100 shillings you collect, about 60 or 70 shillings are going to pay, more than 70 shillings are going to pay debt. So the 30 shillings is what we are left with. And when you look at the government is the highest spender. He's the government is the highest mover of the economy. When roads are being built in your village, there's somebody who prepares lunch for the people who are doing that business. So there's a lot of money circulation. So when the government is not spending, there's no circulation. Remember, we started by saying cash is king. So there's no that. So the cost of living we are having today, there's that bit of, if you look at the Auditor General's report the other day, he talked of absorption of the development budget is very little. So whatever we are doing is just recurrent. So there's nothing that is growing the economy. And that's why I say if the political leaders kept to what manifestos they present to us, it will be very interesting. When you look at the previous regime, they talked about the Big Four agenda. Manufacturing was one. Okay? When they manufacture, we'll be doing very well. If you look at the bottom-up economic model that we have today, are they still sticking to that bottom-up? When they start twisting the small-scale traders with taxation and compliance issues, are they bringing them up, or are they stiffening them? You know, those are the questions that we need to ask ourselves. But when we talk about inflation raising, we also need to appreciate that right now we are talking about the floods that are happening across the country. In the last couple of years, we've had quite some dry spells. And Kenya is more or less more of an agricultural nation. So when we don't get that and we import a lot of our things, there's a problem. The other problem we talked about, I mentioned, is about we are borrowing for consumption. So if you borrow to start a side hustle that brings in income, makes a lot of sense. But I want to look at Anne today, who goes to Fuliza. Fuliza has 10K, which is the maximum that she's been given at that point. Waits for the salary to come, pays the Fuliza. 3 days later, Fulizas again. There's that cycle. Because it's a consumption borrowing. But had you borrowed this money, you went to one of the financial institutions, borrowed 1 million shillings, put up a kisiagi in the village. The kisiagi people have harvested maize, so it's bringing income. It's complementing what you get from your salary. It's actually helping you pay fees. But